Welcome back to Dickin' Around Outdoors. Now, I love the Solo camp stoves. I think they are great stoves. They're very efficient. They burn hot. Problem with them is that they seem to be, to me, a bit of a, call it a one-trick pony. You have to scavenge wood at your campsite, or bring it with you, I guess, and that's all they burn. You can't fit a gas burner into it. You can't fit an alcohol burner unless you have the Solo stove light. So from a fuel standpoint, they're pretty limited. And that's why I normally take a different brand of wood stove when I go camping, because it gives me more optionality. And the Solo stove, camp stove that we take most often is the Titan. We really love this stove. We think it's sized great for 2 people, and it just is a nice little stove. And if you pay any attention to Solo stove, you've seen the new small patio burner they have called the Mesa. It's a neat little tool, and I think given the aesthetics of it, with it being different colored and having a little stand, it works great. But the most intriguing thing that I saw when I first saw the Mesa is that that stove has an insert that allows you to burn wood pellets. Now, I know if you're backpacking, you're not going to carry a bag of wood pellets with you, right? Makes sense. But if you're car camping and light weighting, or you're in a motorcycle, or even in a canoe, you do have the capacity to take some backup fuel just in case. So the other day, I'm just banging around the Solo Stove website. I don't even remember what I was looking for, but I came across new accessories that they have that I didn't know anything about, but I had to pick one up. This is the accessory. Solo Stove has come out with a pellet burning insert for each one of their camp stoves, for the Light, the Titan, and the Campfire, that allows you to burn wood pellets in your camp stove. I think this is a great idea. It's a little bit different design than the one in the Mesa, but I'm excited to try this. So we're going to get some pellets, we're going to wait till it gets dark, and we're going to go ahead and light a fire in this and see how it works, to see if not only does this increase the campability of the Solo stove, but also can it replace the Mesa for a small, intimate fire when you're out on your patio. We're going to check that out and see. We're going to see how it burns, and we're going to see what it looks like. So stick around. Let's see how this little accessory from Solo Stove changes their camp stoves. So what do you get when you buy the pellet adapter for the camp stoves? Well, you get a pellet adapter, and this is a heavy piece of stainless steel. It is not a cheap stamp. This has got some heft to it. I do know that there are other companies that offer some of these online on Amazon and that kind of thing. Candidly, I tend to shy away from some of that stuff because I'm not sure how well it's made, but when Solo came out with theirs, I thought, okay, great. I think it's going to be well made and it's going to fit. So you get the pellet adapter, you also get the instruction sheet, and it says that you must read this. Failure to do so could result in serious injury or death. So I'm quite intrigued by that. But really the bottom line is it gives a pictograph on how to use this, and essentially all you do is you drop the pellet adapter in so that it takes over the base of your stove. You pile pellets in. We're going to light this once it gets dark, but we just wanted to show you the unit while it was still light out. You throw the pellets in. You don't want to cover the rings at the top, the regasification rings, because that will stop the regasification. So you want to pile the pellets in up to that point. We're going to see how much this holds. I happen to have some old smoker chips here. So there's 1 cup. 2 cups fit very nicely inside of this Titan. So we're going to go ahead and burn that. And along with that, the instructions, they do have a grand total of 32 user warnings of such things as don't use gasoline to start this, don't touch it when it's hot. So I'll let that go for you to read if you choose to buy one of these. So the only thing that I've really noticed on this so far that I think they might have done something differently is once you put this into the stove, you can't get it out without flipping the stove back over. Now, is that a big deal? You're going to be dumping the ashes out anyway, but I noticed on the Mesa, there's actually a tube in the middle that you could lift it out if you wanted to. But other than that, I think it's a solid unit. We're going to go ahead and put this on. We're just going to wait till it gets dark out and light this and show you how it burns. And clearly, for a patio, now this is, as you can see, this is my used Titan. It's not a beauty queen. This is not going to be something that you put out on your patio that looks nice when you're trying to impress your friends. But I'm going to bet you in the dark, you won't be able to tell the difference other than the fact that it has the pot ring. So we're going to see if this would be a legitimate alternative, and much cheaper if you already own the stove, alternative to a Mesa if you want to have a nice sort of small patio fire, intimate fire, I guess you would call it. So we'll be back when it gets dark. We'll see how long this burns and how well it burns, what it looks like, and see if this is a worthy addition or accessory to this stove. Personally, I already think it's a good accessory simply because it gives me another choice and an alternative in fuel that I can use when I'm cooking in this stove, where I don't have to scavenge for wood if I happen to get somewhere late. If it's been raining, I'll have a dry source of wood. So I think it's great from that standpoint, but let's see if it works on the patio. All right, the sun has gone down. We're going to go ahead and light this. We're going to do two things. We're going to see how long it takes before it starts to gasify. Then we're going to see how long 2 cups of pellets will burn in this Titan. We've also got, since we don't have a fancy stand that the Mesa comes with, we have a silicone trivet to make sure that we don't do any damage to our table. So let's get this lit and see how long it takes to gasify. Get these pellets lit up. All right, timer is going. We're 13 minutes in. At about 8 minutes, we had a pretty good fire going and it had spread across the top of the pellets. Now we've got some gasification coming out on the side nearest the camera there, and it is still spreading across the entire surface. So, nice little fire here. It did take us a little while to get it going, but as you can see, it's a nice little fire. I think this would be great to sit around just kind of on a table with a glass of wine. Clearly, this isn't going to give you quite the same effect as the Mesa because you do have that pot stand on it, but it's a good looking little fire. Camera lady just asked me if you really need the pot stand on the stove, and the reason you do is because the top ring that creates the vortex that allows the gasification on these stoves is connected to the pot holder. So without that, I mean, you could have a fire without it, you just wouldn't get the same sort of airflow. Now we're getting some good gasification again coming out the side closest to the camera, but without that ring you wouldn't get that same effect. It's 15 minutes and we've got a really nice little fire burning here. It's interesting to me though that I think these pellets just must burn a little cleaner than regular wood, because you have the gasification, you have the air coming out of the holes, you can see it, but it's not that same kind of smokiness and then it's being trapped and it's giving you that swirling effect. It just seems to be a really balanced and controlled fire coming out of these pellets. So I think the continuity of the pellets, I think the consistency, and maybe the fact that they're packed in there tighter, you get a little different burn pattern. Still a nice little fire, but it's a little bit different. You don't get that kind of mesmerizing swirl that you get with the bigger fire pits. We're at the 33-minute mark. We're down to a really nice bed of coals. This would be a great cooking fire right here. We've got a lot of really blue flame. It's nice and hot in there, but we have lost a lot of the flame coming out over the top. So I'm going to call this burn down to the point where we don't have sort of the campfire effect anymore. That's 33.5 minutes. but we've sure still got a nice warm bed of coals in there. All right, next morning, let's have a look and see what we have left for ashes here. And one thing I notice, you still get a little of the soot, but not nearly as much as you do when you're burning regular wood. And here's what we have left. So everything pretty much burned down. There's just a touch of ash left. So let's dump this out and see how the pellet attachment did. So at the end of the day, what do I think about the pellet insert for the Solo Stove cooking stoves? I think they've come up with a winner here. As you can see, it's patinaed nicely, but I have no warping at all. We had very little ash. It burned well. It burned for a long time. So I think this is a great little tool to extend the utility of your camp stove. They are on sale right now. This was $7 plus shipping. I'll put a link below. I'm not affiliated in any way, but I'll put a link below. And I just think it's a great tool. So if you like this type of content, please give us a thumbs up. Share this with all of your gearhead friends. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. And as always, take care, and we'll see you outdoors.